how are you? It is Adaeze, Chiwoko, your marriage and relationship coach. I want to talk to you about the power of your influence, because I know that many of you are frustrated, so frustrated in your relationship because you're desperate for change. More specifically, you're desperate for your spouse to change. And although we know that we can't change another human being, there's something within us that just goes against that knowledge and pushes and nags and complains and cries and begs for our spouses to change who they are. We spend all our time focusing on trying to fix them. When we don't see the change, then we get frustrated. Now, there's a danger with that. And I'm going to talk to you about what that danger is. But I'm also going to show you how actually there's a better way of getting change in your relationship. It's a little bit slower and you've got to be a bit patient with it, but it is far more powerful. As I'm working with couples and individuals around the world, this is what I'm hearing from you. I need my spouse to change. And you're saying to me, I've tried everything to make them change. I've tried begging. I tried crying. I tried sitting down and talking with them. I tried shutting down. I tried retreating. I tried arguing and nothing worked. I tried threatening to separate. Of course, none of that works. But I'll tell you what it is doing. It's creating a further discord between you. It's affecting the atmosphere and the energy in your relationship. Now, if you're operating your relationship with emotions of frustration, of irritation, of exhaustion, of desperation, of fear, then that is the atmosphere you're going to be creating in your marriage. And that's why we end up being in a place where your spouse is moving further and further away from you. Because who wants to be around someone who is always frustrated, irritated, exhausted? So actually, the more that you're complaining, the more that you're forcing change, the more that you're trying to create this change, is the further away it's going away from you. On top of that, that desperation for change is coming from the emotion of fear. And we all know that we've not been given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of peace, love, and sound mind. So whenever we operate from fear, we bring along all those negative emotions, such as control, desperation, panic, which shows itself as irritation and starts to be manipulative and arguing and conflict. All these things, and you and I know that this is the sort of thing that you're seeing in your relationship. It's not working. It's not working. Now, let me give you something that does work. In Peter, it talks about you being able to influence your spouse through your conduct, right? Not through words, not through dramatics, not through threats, but through your conduct, right? Now, what it's saying to you is that actually you have the power of influence by the way that you behave, by the way that you conduct yourself, right? By the atmosphere and the energy that you create. Don't forget, we all know that in all spheres of life, we're all influenced by each other, quietly influenced by each other. That's why they say, show me your friends and I'll know you. That's why they say in business that you're only as successful as the 5 people that you're around. That's why the Bible says that you need to be careful of who you connect with. Right? Because whether you like it or not, you are influenced by the people around you. Usually it's not even a choice. It just happens subtly. One stage you used to believe this, then you started moving in a different circle, or you started hanging out with someone different. And now the way that you think, the way that you process information, your thoughts around this thing, your behavior has slightly adjusted. How many of you noticed that within yourself, that when you've moved in a different circle or you started to connect more tightly with another person, you've been influenced? If I'm telling the truth, put in the comments, you are right. You've seen it with your friends, or somebody close to you. Maybe you've known somebody to be a certain way, and then they started they got into a new relationship, or they started to connect with somebody else or new friends, and you've seen that their ideas, their behavior, their way of operating has changed. What is that? It's the power of influence. Now, many of you have decided to be in your relationship and just be a victim of circumstance. This is just how it is. This is just how my spouse is. This is just how our relationship is. So I just go with it. And one of the greatest jobs that I have to do with the clients that work with me is shift them from that victim mentality to a position of authority where they know that they have the power to not only influence their spouse, but also influence the atmosphere that they live within. Okay, Adaeze, I agree with that. We do have the power to influence, but how do I really do this in my relationship? So let me give you a few clues. The first one you're not going to like very much. The first one you're not going to like very much. But the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to leave your spouse alone. Somebody put in the comment, leave your spouse alone. Leave them alone. One thing that we cannot do is control or try and manipulate another person's journey, right? We have to allow them to be who they are, allow them to stand in their own truth, even if we don't like that truth, even if that truth is damaging to them, right? Leave them alone. Switch your focus. This is the second one. Switch your focus of trying to fix them. You're not their God. You're not their healer. You're not their teacher. Oh my days. I've got to do another video about this dynamic, people trying to be each other's teachers. We don't need you to be a teacher, right? So the desire that you have to correct them all the time, to challenge them all the time, to consistently teach them all the time, release them, leave them be, leave your spouse alone. Second thing, you heard it there. Stop trying to fix them. Third thing, take your focus on you, right? Now, here's the trick. Here's the trick. If you want to see peace, if you want joy, if you want more unity, if you want more intimacy, you want more love, and these are the things that you're focusing on your spouse. You need to do this. You need to be more like this. You pull it in on yourself. How do I become the wife or the woman, the husband or the man who creates this? How can I be it first? How can I be somebody that my spouse wants to be around? How can I be somebody that is trustworthy? How can I make sure that whenever my spouse is around me, the sun is shining? How can I make sure that I am the peace, that I am the joy? I always say, I'm the sunshine in my house. When I step into the home, the sun begins to shine. And that's how I influence my family. Now, your husband or your wife might want to stay on the dark side for a while, and that's okay. But as long as within your world, you are evidencing to him how good it can be, or to her, how good it can be when they join you in this place of peace, in this place of joy. So the focus is important. Many of us are being dragged along by the negative, when you have to realize that you're the positive influence. When your conduct, your behavior, your communication is always being from a place of love, always coming from a place of peace, always coming from a place of wisdom, always coming from a place of joy, always coming from a place of unity, you will begin to highlight in them the things that need to change without you saying a word. Without you saying a word. They will look at you and your light begins to highlight within them things that they need to change. So this is the thing. This is why the power of influence works. The power of influence works to create a desire for the person to change. The power of influence works because it shifts another person's will. It makes them will change, right? So when you're complaining and moaning and pushing for somebody to change, you're speaking to their intellect. You're speaking to their ego. Leave me alone. Leave me alone, right? Don't be my teacher. Don't be my corrector. Don't be my fixer. Don't be my healer. But when you operate from a power of influence, you speak directly to their will. their desire, because you shine a light. You're like a mirror to them, right? And it generates this will, this desire. I want to be better. I want some of that. I've seen this within me. I want to change that. I want to. Do you need patience? Yes, because here's the difference between forcing change and the force of influence. The difference between forcing change and the force of influence. Forcing change is combative, it's challenging, it's forceful in nature. It wants quick results. But the force of influence is subtle. It's very wise. Okay? It's patient. Okay, it's patient. It's not panicked. Now, here's where the difficulty is. And let me tell you where the difficulty is so that you can be prepared. The difficulty is that you have to allow them and accept them. You have to accept them and love them for who they are today. So one of the mistakes that many of us make is we almost hold off the love and the acceptance until they become what we want them to be. That's not love. That's not love. You accept them and love them for who they are today. Second thing, you see them as a person who is on a journey of growth. And all you're doing is being there to support them, whilst being this calming, amazing, powerful, wise force of influence. My challenge to you is today for you to go back and say, have I been trying to hold on to this person's journey? Have I been trying to forcefully change them? And if I have, how can I be a force of influence? A force of influence. Okay? That means you stop the complaining, stop the nagging, stop the leave them be. Let your conduct do all the speaking you need to. Now, I hope that helps. If you have any questions around that, feel free to message me. And if you're really serious about bringing radical change to your relationships, shoot me a message or go and check out marriageforreal.co.uk and book a free call with me. Here's the thing, we're getting to the end of the year. I start to get a bit passionate because there's many people who reach out to me and say, Daisy, this is the state of my relationship. And they choose to just continue with it year in, year out, when you do not have to. You do not have to. If my marriage can change, if some of the couples that I've worked with marriage can change radically, yours can. But you have to do something about it. All right. I hope this message helps you, and I'll see you next time.